President Trump brokered the historic deal and now expects other Middle Eastern countries to follow suit. Here to discuss the significance of this event and what we can expect in the future is President of the Israel Allies Foundation and Director of Knesset Christian Caucus, Josh Reinstein. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you. This deal brokered by President Trump received praise from both sides of the aisle as Israel is one of America's strongest allies. And President Trump said he believes other Middle Eastern nations will follow suit, specifically mentioning Saudi Arabia. How much pressure does this put on other Gulf nations to normalize ties with Israel?
Well, this is an incredible success for the Trump administration. It proves that the Netanyahu-Trump doctrine of peace through strength is what works in the Middle East. A lot of moderate countries are not under really pressure to come to the table, but they want to, and now they have a reason to. Because they've seen the success of such a great deal and how both sides are actually prospering from it. What's interesting about this deal is that it's based on peace for peace rather than land for peace, which was the failed formula before. And because it's peace for peace, we're seeing also not just the leadership, but the people of Israel, the people of Bahrain and the United Arab Emirates coming together as well.
Now, President Trump said on Tuesday he would have no problem selling the advanced F-35 fighter jet to the United Arab Emirates, despite objections from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Could this actually hurt U.S. relations with Israel?
I don't think so. I think that a lot of those discussions are not held in front of the cameras, but behind the scenes. And I think that the relationship between Israel and America has never been better. I believe that our Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, and President Donald Trump will come to an agreement on this, and that the talk of it is just trying to show some discord in really one of the most positive stories that we've seen in the Middle East in the last 20 years.
Switching gears now, the leaders of Serbia and Kosovo agreed to normalize economic relations, a deal also brokered by President Trump, with the Muslim-majority nations agreeing to closer ties with Israel and Serbia agreeing to move its embassy to Jerusalem, but then backtracking and saying it won't move the embassy if Israel recognizes Kosovo. Tell us more about the significance of this and what's at stake.
Well, this is massively successful. As you know, in 1995, they passed the Embassy Act in Congress. And then since then, every president, every 6 months, signed a waiver saying that they won't move the embassy. Why? Because it's going to lead to blood in the streets, a third intifada, another war. The Trump administration held to their word, and they did move the embassy, even though other people said not to. And it's actually brought the exact opposite. Now we see peace in the Middle East. Now we're seeing countries moving their embassies to Jerusalem. So the fact that we have the first Muslim country that is moving their embassy to Jerusalem and that peace is getting closer is really a testament to the success of the new doctrine of peace through strength that Trump is bringing to Israel. What he's saying is that Israel is the only free democracy in the Middle East, and we need to strengthen that. And in my book, Titus Trump and the Triumph of Israel, I go into the reasons why also this is because of the fact that the base who vote for the Republican Party and Donald Trump are Bible-believing Christians who understand these needs so importantly.
And it's interesting you say that because back when President Trump announced that the U.S. was moving its embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, there were some on the left saying, oh, this is, as you pointed out, going to cause violence. But then you saw other countries follow suit, Guatemala, for example, and now you're seeing this Middle East peace. And as you mentioned, you have a book that delves into President Trump's efforts to attain peace in the Middle East. What can you tell us about that?
Well, you're 100% right. I mean, we're seeing incredible support for the president's moves. Even Malawi, the first African country, just said that they're going to move their embassy to Jerusalem. So all those dire warnings that this is going to lead to bloodshed was actually 100% disproven. And I think people on the left are starting to understand that land for peace doesn't bring peace in the Middle East. Strength does. Now, as you mentioned, I wrote a book. It's called Titus Trump and the Triumph of Israel. And what it does is it shows how when Bible-believing Christians get involved with political advocacy for Israel, when Bible-believing Christians take their biblical support and turn it into real political action, incredible things happen because people who believe in the Bible are more qualified to understand what's happening in the Middle East than people who don't. You have to look at it through a biblical lens. And that's what we show in the book. But more than that, it shows and predicts that this is going to happen. And so it's a very timely book because it was written in January, February, and now all the things that we talk about are going to happen and are actually coming to pass.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.